Okay, guys, so we're going to be doing our navigation bar. So we need to head to the very top of our website and just inside our body tag. So let's move in just at the very top inside the body tag, but above our headings, our sections. We're going to start adding in our new div tag, which is going to be our nav bar. So let's go and do that. So we're going to add in a div tag, and inside this div tag, we're going to, actually, let's give it a class. So what we'll call this section, because it's at the very top of the page, we're going to call it a header. And we'll also create one at the very bottom of our website, and we'll call that a footer. So this one, we can assign the class header to this. And let's close that div tag and just open it up. Oh, actually, it's already closed there, sorry. Okay, so let's start by actually creating our first thing. Now, if I think about our nav bar, we want to have a logo on the left side, followed by some links on the right side. So let's first bring in our logo. So we're going to add in um, an image tag, and we're going to search for an image, and it's in the images folder, and we're just going to be looking for the Apple logo image. We might specify a width for this image as well. Let's go with 80 pixels. We might change that later. Okay, perfect. Let's now move on. So we're going to, inside this header, we're going to create the the nav bar. So let's add in a new div tag, and this class is going to be called navbar. Now we're going to create links, but they're not going to be linked just yet. So to start a link, we're going to add in an a tag, and we're going to hyperlink reference that to nothing. So we're just going to put a hashtag in there. So if someone was to click on this button, it's not going to take you anywhere just yet. We'll change that later on so that it does actually work and you can be taken somewhere. So let's close that a tag. And inside this a tag, we're just going to write home. So this is going to be our home button. Let's copy this a tag and let's paste it a couple of times. So 1, 2, 3. So after the home, what we've got is maybe iPhone. So the first part of our website is just an iPhone. The next part is the trailer. So what we might do is make that the next thing. So trailer. And then after the trailer, we've got an image gallery. So we'll just call it a gallery or slideshow. It's completely up to you what you want to call it. Now, we haven't got any other sections yet, but we could still add them. So maybe we're going to add in a contact us page or something like that. Perfect. And let's have a quick look. So just making sure everything is clean. So we've got our first div tag here, and we're closing it there. We've got our logo, we've got our navbar div, and it closes here, and we've got all our hyperlink links. All right, let's see what that looks like. We haven't added any CSS code in, but let's save it and let's refresh this page and see. Excellent. So there's our logo, and here are our URLs. Now they don't do anything, so if I click on them, nothing happens because I just put a hashtag in there. We'll link them up in a second, but let's continue designing the rest of our navigation bar. So we've got the content on the page. Remember, HTML code will put things into your page, but if you want to style it, we need to go to the style sheet. So let's head over to the style sheet, and let's go to the very bottom of our style sheet, and let's start styling this. So we called the initial div tag a header. So let's open that up. And what we want for this header is the width to be 100% of the page. So let's start off by doing that. And we'll also add in a background color. Background color. And let's make it white, but if you wanted to change your color, by all means, go in and change it to whatever you want. We're also going to add in a couple of other things. So we're going to add in some padding, and we might just make it very small, maybe 5 pixels. And let's also let's do a display flex, and that's going to make sure that our items are going to be displayed in a row. So you can actually see at the moment the Apple logo is here, and then all the links go underneath it. So we don't want that. We want it to all be in a straight line. So let's do a display flex, and remember, what do we want to do with the flex direction? We want it to be in a row. Excellent. We also want to justify and also align those items. So we're going to say justify content, and we're going to do a space between. We're going to align our items to the center. And let's just see what that looks like. There might be a couple other things we need to add. So let's save that and refresh. Perfect. Now, at first glance, I can see a couple of issues. So one of the issues that I can see is there is a little bit of a margin right at the top here and also on the sides of our website. So we want to fix that up. Oh, also, you can see that our navigation bar, when we scroll, continues to scroll with the page. We want our navigation bar to be stuck at the very top. So maybe we fix that first. So let's go back in here and let's add in a code that states the position is fixed. So it's not relative to the page, it will be fixed on the website. So let's refresh that. And there we go. That's actually looking much better. Now you can see a lot of things are going underneath the navigation bar, but some things are going over the navigation bar, which is really, really odd. You can actually see that. So just like in Photoshop where you have layers, you also have layers in your website. So let's add in a code to say that our header must be at the very top of our layers. Now, to do that, there's a code called a Z index. And what we're going to set the Z index to is something really high, like for example, 1,000. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it can even be as small as 10. But if you give another element within your website a Z index, you want to make sure it is less than whatever you're giving the header, so that the header stays on top of anything that is sliding underneath your website. So you can actually see those iPhones are going on top. But now that I've given it a Z index of 1,000, most things by default have a Z index of 1. So if we save it and now refresh our page, we'll see that our navigation bar is on top. Now, we'd also want to fix this gap here that's being created on the sides and the top of our nav bar. Now, we did say we want the width to be 100% of the page, but it is creating a little bit of a border there. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that we want the top of this particular div to have no gap, so 0. We want the left side also to be on 0, and we want the right side to be on 0. So let's see if that's fixed that up. So let's save this and let's refresh. Perfect. Okay, great. So that's looking pretty good so far. Okay, we've got our Apple logo here. And what we could actually do to the Apple logo is add in a little bit of this zoom effect. Now remember, we've already got the coding to make something pop like this or transform like this when you move the mouse over. And we specified a class to that. The class was called Zoom. So if we wanted to, we could quickly go over to our index.html page, and where we've got our image for the Apple logo, we just need to specify the class Zoom. And that, if we just save that and refresh this, it should do the same thing. And that actually looks really good. Okay, great. So let's move on to the the actual buttons. The first thing I think we should do is link these, and then we'll go about styling them. So with the hyperlinks, at the moment we've got a hashtag in there, and they're going nowhere. So when you click on them, nothing happens. What we want to happen is when you click on them, it takes you to a particular section of your website. For example, if you click on trailer, it will take you to this part of your website. Now, to do that, you need to set something called an ID. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to different parts of our website. So we're going to go to, for example, this here, which is our iPhone. This was our first div for the iPhone. And we're going to set an ID. And we're going to say this particular div's ID is called iPhone. Let's go down past the iPhone and we'll go to the trailer. And what we can do is set an ID for the trailer. And we can say ID equals trailer. You can call it whatever you like. Let's go to the image gallery as well. And we might go to maybe one of these headings, maybe this one here. And let's add in a class. And let's call this gallery. Okay, oh, sorry, not a class. We want to set an ID. So let's set an ID. Okay, let's go to image gallery, and we're also going to do the same thing for the image gallery. So we might go to this div tag here, slideshow container, and let's add in an ID equals, and we'll just call it gallery. Cool. Let's head back to the top where we have our hyperlink references, and we've got a hashtag in there. Now, what we'll do is use the hashtag. So hashtag is telling the hyperlink reference that the link is on the current page. It's not on a different page. And we're just going to add in the IDs that we put here. So the first one was iPhone, the next one was trailer, and then we had gallery. So let's see if that works. So let's save this. Let's head back over and refresh. And let's go to trailer. Cool. And if we go to iPhone, and if we go to gallery, perfect, it's working. Now you can tell when you click on the buttons that it just jumps straight to that part of your website. So there's no like smooth scrolling or anything like that. Now, to do a little bit of smooth scrolling, we just need one script to add, which is pretty cool. We're going to put into our style.css page. So let's just go in there and It's actually really simple. I got this code from W3 Schools and it's HTML. So we're telling the HTML document that we want there to be a smooth scroll behavior. And let's save this. So this was in our CSS. Make sure your HTML document is also saved. Let's refresh the website. And if we now use the links that we have, we've got a smooth scrolling website, which is fantastic. Now, if you wanted your links to go to a particular point in your website, maybe it's scrolling too far down or not far enough, then what you need to do is create a div with a particular ID that's going to be exactly where you want it to scroll to, and then that will happen. So for example, if I want my home button to come right to the top of our website, right here, and show this part, then I'm going to go to this heading right here, Apple website. So in my HTML document where I've got the H1, I might go over here and I might add in an ID, and we'll just call this home. And if I go back up to the hyperlink reference, hashtag home, and if I save that and refresh our website, let's go down, let's click on home, and I go up to home. Now you can see that home, where I have the heading, is underneath the nav bar. Okay, it's coming up there, but it is slightly underneath the nav bar. Now we can add in a margin for this if we wanted to, and this would allow you to actually come down further on your anchor point. So we can do that as well. What we might do is also add in a hyperlink on the logo right here. So let's do that. Let's go over to our image tag. So this is our Apple logo right here. And let's add in a hyperlink reference, and we'll say hashtag header, and close that and get rid of the closing A tag. The closing A tag should go to the end of the image. There it is there. Perfect. Now we need to add in an ID on this header. So let's do ID equals header. And that way we know that if we're at the bottom of our website, if we ever click on the image of the Apple logo, that we should be able to head to the top. Now, that's not working, and I think it's because we've got an animation on it. So we might have to turn that animation off. Yeah, I think it is because of the animation, which is stopping the hyperlink reference from working, but that's okay. We've got a couple other things to do first, so let's actually fix our hyperlink style. So we've got default hyperlinks happening, but we want to change that. So we're going to head over to the style.css page, and we're going to change a couple of things. So let's go over here and let's open up our navbar div, and let's add in a couple of things. So we want our font size to be maybe around 20 or just under 20 pixels. Let's try that. We might make it a little bit bigger if it's too small. Now, when you have hyperlinks, they will look like a hyperlink. They'll be purple with an underline and things like that. So what we want to add is something called text decoration, and we want to say we don't want any text decoration. That will remove all the hyperlink color themes. And for example, when you click on a hyperlink, it turns purple and things like that. So we want to remove all that text decoration from that. Now we're going to add in a color to our text. So let's just go with gray. And we're going to add in, we're going to make the font a little bit more, almost like it's bold. So let's go with a font weight of around 500. And um, let's give it a bit of a margin as well. So let's add in a margin. We're going to say margin left 40 pixels. And let's see what that looks like. We might push it over a little bit more if we need to. So let's go File, Save As, and let's refresh this. Okay, we might add in a little bit of a margin on the right as well. So let's go margin right, and let's add in 40 pixels. Save that. Okay, that's looking, it could be a little bit too far from the right, so maybe we'll reduce that to 20 pixels. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Now our text decoration is still there, which is annoying. So we're going to have to do a little bit more coding. So what we're going to do is we're going to specify the actual hyperlink A tag, and we're going to go through all four states. Okay, so a hyperlink is an A tag. So we always start a hyperlink with the A tag and we type in href. So what we're going to do is we're going to say the A tag, and we're going to open this up, and we're going to say we want to change the A tag. So we're going to make the font size 18 pixels. We'll also do text decoration, and we're going to say none. We'll copy all the stuff that we had in the nav bar because that obviously didn't work for us. So let's go color. So we'll do color equals gray, font weight, 500. Okay, what else can we do? We will also create. Oh, okay. So what we're going to do, we've got the A tag. Now, let's copy this and let's paste it in. And what we're going to do is we're going to adjust one of the states of the A tag. And the state we're going to change is the hover over state. So this is what we want the A tag to look like normally. What we're going to do here is we're going to change the way the A tag looks when you move your mouse over the text. So let's go in here and let's start with just the color. So we might make the color black. So let's try that. Okay, let's hit File, Save, and let's refresh the website. And that's looking pretty good. So we've got the hover over working, but the gray text is not working. So let's copy this and paste it a couple more times, and we might have to manually do all of the states. So we did the hover over state. Let's go and actually do the other states as well. So one of the states is obviously when it's just a normal link. The other state is when you have visited the web page, or you've clicked on the link and you've visited that particular one. And then the last one is when the link is actually active. So if you click on it and it takes you to that page, what does it look like when it's active? So now we've got all four states in there. We've got the A tag when it's just a normal link, when you've visited that link, when it's active, and when you're hovering over it. Let's see if that works. So let's hit save. Let's refresh. Ah, perfect. Excellent. All right, so you can see we've got a hover over state for each one. Our links are working, which is great. Now, when I see it in full screen, what I notice is that our logo is a little bit too far to the left and our links are too far to the right. And we kind of want them to kind of space out across the center here, not too aligned to the center, but have a little bit of padding on either side. So let's go back into our CSS and let's focus on the nav bar and the header. So we're going to go to the header itself and we're going to add in some padding. Now we did add in some padding already. Now that is overall padding. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in a space and we're going to go 100 pixels. So let's have a look at what that looks like now. Let's refresh. That's looking a little bit better. So we added in some padding on the left and right. We already had 5 pixels padding on the top and bottom. Now we added some on the left and right. The next thing we want to do is maybe add in a little bit of space in between our text here. We're going to look for the A tags and we're going to add in a little bit of a margin on our A tags. So let's go over here and let's go margin left and let's just add in 40 pixels and let's do that for all of the different states and let's save that and refresh and let's make that website a little bit wider and there we go. Now you noticed when the website is collapsed that they kind of go on top of each other like that, and that's okay. We will look at in future videos how websites deal with things like that. So you'll notice that when a website is on a smaller device like a mobile phone or a tablet, that instead of grouping their icons like this, they'll typically put them into like a menu system where you can click on it and it'll open up. So we can always have a look at that in one of the future tutorials. Okay guys, if you are happy with that, then that is great. We can move on to the next tutorial. If you wanted to change the spacing or anything like that, just go through and change your margins or your padding, and that will be it for today's tutorial.